Welcome back to video 2 of C# programming. We're going to talk about data types, variables, and operators. So when we think about data types, C# has primitive data types that are the most basic types of data that is supported by C#. These are going to be integer types, floating point types, character types, and Boolean types. I'll put those on the screen so you can see. And each type of data, they have a specific range or a specific use, and this is all depending on the size and the precision required for storing the data. So let's start off with declaration and initialization with variables. Variables in C# are containers that we use to hold data for a specific type. So to declare a variable, we're going to specify the type that we want to use, and in our example we're going to use an integer, and then we're going to follow it by a variable name. So right here in declaration, I'm going to type integer age, and what I did is I just declared a variable with the name age as an integer, right? Because it's going to hold some type of numerical data. Next, we're going to initialize the variable, and we need to do this before we can actually print out or use our data from the variable. So I'm going to assign or initialize the variable age with a number, and we're going to say 20. And then what I'll say here is console.writeLine, and then we'll just say age. So we'll have that print out once we decide to debug our code. But although it's possible to declare and initialize as two separate lines of code, we can also do this in one line of code. So I can set a declaration and initialization line of code so I can save myself some time and of course speed up my coding process. So I'm going to say integer age 2 is equal to 30, and then set that, and then we're going to have the console write that line of code, and we're going to say age 2, and then I'm going to save that. So once we decide to run our code once again and debug it, we'll be able to see age 2 printed out, which it should print out 30 for age 2, and then it should print out 20 for the age. A really cool thing that we can do inside of C# is we can use arithmetic operators, or any type of operator pretty much. So we can use our basic arithmetic operators such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and things of that nature. Or we can use relational operators where we would use that a little bit later on down the line, and that can be setting things to less than or equal to, greater than and equal to, or just equal to, or just less than, or just greater than. Then we have some of our logical operators that are going to handle some of our Boolean assignments. So these can be our true or false, or our false false, or true true assignments that we have. Then we have our assignment operators. Well, these are just going to be your equal to, or plus and equal to, minus equal to, things of that nature. Once again, we'll get into that later down the line. Then we have our increment and decrement operators, where we're either going to add some type of integer to our assignment, or we're going to take away an integer from our assignment. Then we have our bitwise operators, and once again we will get into these later on down the line. The last thing that I want to talk about is type conversion. So type conversion is also known as casting in C#. This is the process where we can convert a value from one data to another. So what we're going to focus on here is an explicit version of casting data, but you also have a implicit version. So an implicit conversion is what we're going to allow the compiler to automatically change that value from the data type to another, and this is not going to cause a risk of our data loss. An explicit version of converting our data or our data type is going to possibly involve data loss, but it's not likely. There is a chance. So An example of that is if we had a number, so if we said integer number 1, we'll just take our first number and we'll give it a value, and I'm going to set that to 10. And then let's say we had a decimal number. So if we had a double 2, which is one of our integer types, or one of our data types, I'm sorry, is double. And what we use double for is for anything that has a decimal. So we're going to set our number 2 to 5.5. So what we want to do is we want to set, we're going to add these two integers together, and it's going to change their data type, right? So, or it's going to change the data type from the double. So what we're going to do is create a new variable, and it's going to be result. And we're just going to set result equal to number 1 plus, and then we're going to change the data type to integer, and then we're going to say number 2. And then of course we're going to do a console write line, and we want to print the result. So if you save that and we go ahead and run that code, then you will see here we have the age is printed out as 20, and then we have the age 2 prints out as 30. And then since we converted this integer or this double into an integer, you see it removed the decimal there, and we just are left with 5. So when we add 10 plus 5, we get 15, and that's how you can do type conversion. So I'm going to post a scenario on the screen, and I would like you all to take your time, try to figure it out, and we're going to post the answer to the scenario in the comments, and of course I will respond to anyone who's able to give the right answer. So I'll see you guys in video number 3, where we talk about control flow statements.